There was a time when Indian migrants were celebrated as engineers, doctors, researchers, and entrepreneurs powering some of the world's fastest growing economies. And today, in many countries, that same success is becoming a reason for anger. From the United States to the United Kingdom, from Australia to Ireland, and now even Singapore, a new pattern is beginning to emerge. Not necessarily against illegal immigration, but increasingly against Indians themselves. And that raises a much bigger question. Is the global conversation on immigration quietly turning something into far more personal? Just like targeting? Let's find it out. Singapore, a country known around the world for strict laws, special orders, and racial harmony, has taken an extraordinary step. Authorities ordered YouTube, Facebook, and X to block access of 14 online posts that they say were spreading hatred against the Indian community. Now, the post claimed that Singapore was being taken over by Indians. Now, they used carefully selected videos from Little India and religious gatherings to create the impression that country's identity was changing and turning into India. But Singapore has those videos that are not simply opinions. Officials believe that they were designed to provoke racial tensions only. Investigators suspect that the campaign may even have originated from China-based platforms before spreading across other social media platforms. Now, this changes the story completely. This is no longer just about the online hate. It is about information warfare, the digital influence, and the possibility of social media that is being used to weaken trust inside multicultural societies. Singapore's response was swift. Police invoked the Online Criminal Arms Act, ordered platforms to restrict the access of the content, and then made one message absolutely clear. There will be zero tolerance for attempts to divide the communities just based on the race. Now, because Singapore understands something many countries are still struggling with, once the racial distrust enters the society, removing it becomes far harder than preventing it. Now, let us move towards across the Pacific. The United States. US is witnessing a different version of the same debate. Immigration has become one of the America's biggest political issues. And Indians, especially on the H-1B visa, have increasingly found themselves at the center of this argument. For years, Indian engineers, software developers, and technology professionals filled the critical shortages across the American industries because Americans were not fit to get those jobs. And today, many of them are being accused of taking jobs away from the Americans itself. Well, maybe we have forgotten that Americans were never really fit for those jobs. Now, words like job stealers and replacements appear on the growing frequency. Videos targeting Indian communities continue to circulate online. One incident in Texas, where an Indian flag was torn apart during a protest, sparked outrage far beyond the state itself. Meanwhile, public meetings in places like Frisco have witnessed claims of the so-called Indian takeover. These narratives often ignore one important reality. Indian professionals did not create America's visa system, by the way. They simply entered through the legal pathways that successive American governments choose to maintain. Yet political frustration is increasing day by day, being redirected towards the people instead of the policies. Indians are being targeted, and perhaps that is the most dangerous shift of all. Because one economic anxiety becomes the attachment to a particular community, facts often lose their influence. Emotions take over, and the pattern is not limited to America. In Britain, political leaders have openly argued that jobs should go only to the unemployed British citizens instead of the migrants from countries like India. Well, let's talk about Australia now. Anti-immigration demonstrators have directly targeted Indian origin migrants. In Ireland, even University Food Assistance Program became part of the online campaign accusing Indian students of draining the public resources. So cruel, by the way. Different countries, different politics, but the same storyline. Whenever housing becomes expensive, whenever the wages strange, whenever the economy slows, someone is blamed, and that someone increasingly is someone basically a skilled immigrant of Indian origin. There is another reason that this trend matters. Well, India today has world's largest diaspora. More than 35 million people of Indian origin live across the globe. They are visible in technology, healthcare, finance, education, even politics. And not just that, biggest scientific researchers are all influenced by Indians, but visibility also creates vulnerability. Success attracts opportunity, that sometimes it also attracts resentment. Researchers tracking online hate say that the anti-South Asian slurs, basically the anti-Indian slurs, have surged across the social media platforms. Algorithms reward the outrage, by the way. Political campaigns amplify the fear, and anonymous accounts spread narratives much faster than the facts can catch up. And that is exactly why Singapore's response is drawing global attention. Thankfully, a country stood up for India and Indians, by the way. Instead of treating these posts as isolated incidents, Singapore authorities treated them as national security concerns capable of damaging the social cohesion, and stood for Indians. Whether other democracy will choose a similar path remains uncertain, but because every country must balance the free expression with protection against the targeted hate, that is the balance becoming harder than ever before. And now, in the end, the bigger question now is no longer whether the anti-immigrant politics is growing. It is clearly, will the future debate focus on the immigration policy or not? Will the entire communities come together, increasingly become the targets? Well, as of now, only the Indians are who are being targeted, and the answer will shape only the future of the Indian migrants, by the way, but also the future of multicultural democracies themselves, who are roaring on the globe that they support each other, but in actual they don't. But applause to Singaporean government who stood for Indians and India. What are your thoughts on this? Make sure to comment down below.